So I would like to take this opportunity before we introduce the panel to acknowledge that Ms. Anita Bonds, Chair of the DC Democratic Party, is with us. Ms. Bonds, are you in this room or are you in the other room? She's in the other room, okay. So while she's working her way over to say hello to everyone, let's go ahead and introduce our panel. Mr. Bruce DuPoy of Channel 8 News Talk is his show. Debbie Simmons of the Washington Times is also on our panel. Mr. Sam Ford of ABC 7 News is also on. And for folks who are just joining us, I should reintroduce myself. My name is Tracy Wilkins, reporter for NBC4 Washington, Channel 4 News. It is a pleasure to be here. And I'm also a Ward 7 resident. And I shouldn't say just a resident. I was pretty much born and raised in Ward 7. My grandmother lived in Ward 7, so this is where I played as a child, and now this is where I live. So today we have an opportunity to hear from these candidates and hear what they're talking about bringing to Ward 7 and how they're going to improve our situation and make a life a lot better for everyone who's here. And to help us in that respect, now we have Ms. Bonds here. If you could just say hello to everybody, thank you. We are, because of the number of folks on this panel, we're only going to have 2 questions from our panelists, 2 questions each. Each of the candidates will have 1 minute to respond to these questions. And we're going to begin with Bruce DuPoy.
Thank you, and good afternoon. And it's great to be with my friends and colleagues and the candidates, and most especially with all of you. Yesterday, Councilman Barry was on the Kojo Nnamdi show and said that Mayor Gray hasn't done nearly enough to promote job opportunities. His discussion focused understandably on the ward he represents, but I'm wondering to what extent, if at all, do you agree that the mayor has not done enough to promote job opportunities in the parts of the city where they're needed the most? Thank you.
And since the mic is on that end, we'll begin with Mr. James.
I agree with Councilmember Barry. I don't believe enough has been done to promote job opportunities in Ward 7 or east of the river. And I think what we have to do is look at the entire way that we are going about training people for jobs and educating our youth. We've got to get back to vocational education. We've got to get back to talking about trade programs. We've got to give our residents, our young people, our people who are energized, who want to work, but don't have the skills and don't have the ways to get the skills to work. We have to find ways to reinvest in our people who have the energy, who have the ability, but don't have a government that's investing in them. Now, you can't do it alone. As council member, I understand I'm working with 12 other individuals. But what you will get from Kevin B. Chavis is a loud voice. I will speak out about the fact that we need to put people back to work. I don't think enough has been done. I think that First Source has not been enforced. I think that it was a mistake when they said that 50% of new hires need to be from the city.
Thank you, Mr. Chavis. Ms. Alexander.
With regards to that question, that's kind of a tough question. It's really not a fair question. But if you look at the statistics, I can honestly say that the mayor hasn't done all he could do as far as Ward 7 when the unemployment rate is 17%. I can say that the rate has dropped since he has taken office. We need to take a look at some of the measures that I've done as council member. In terms of the First Source Agreement, we've tightened that up so that more local companies are getting work, so that more district residents are getting subcontracts on a lot of these jobs. When you take a look at my legislation, I introduced the District of Columbia Domicile Act of 2011 that requires if you work for the District of Columbia government, you must live in the District of Columbia. The preference has to be given to our district residents. When we look at the district government, and I say, no, the mayor is not doing his job and he needs to take a look at that over 60% of the residents live outside of the district. So we have to do better. Thank you.
Step a little closer to get a little closer to you, good people. You know, whatever has been going on isn't working. You can claim whatever you want to claim. It's not working. We've got Some say 17, some say 20% unemployment amongst our ward. Some say we've got 40% of our young people, 18 to 25, not working. That is horrible and it is dismal. And our mayor, as well as our city council, who was the head of the Economic Development Committee, and our representative had great opportunity with 3 of the 7 votes you need to get anything done to turn that around. Cranes are everywhere except in Ward 7. It is absolutely illegal. I have been fighting just Thursday with another group of ministers and union members as well to get the $700 million worth of jobs that are right down in Center City. Get those jobs. It's low-hanging fruit that we deserve to have. There is no enforcement of any appreciable manner of the First Source Agreement, and that is a shame. Those are things we can do right now.
For the sake of time, I ask that all of the candidates please stand in your position because you're losing time by walking around the table, so we want to be able to quickly move. Thank you.
Well, I believe in acknowledging what people have done. I do believe in the one job, one hire. I believe that we do have to place our residents in programs and in jobs that are available in the city. But I also understand, as part of my platform of Restoring Hope, we have to have education. We have to begin to train our residents with the jobs that will actually take them from poverty to middle class. We have to understand that when President Bush in 2007 gave the $125 million for workforce development in order to train people in green jobs, we didn't take full advantage of those programs. So as your council person, I will ensure that we will do just that. You will get the skills that you need in order to be gainfully employed. You will have new training on old skills so that you can meet the demands of the current economic situation. So yes, we have a long way to go. Yes, we need to reduce that 20% unemployment. And yes, we can do it together. So continue to think about me when you go to place your ballot in the, when you go to vote on April the 3rd, because we can get this thing done together.
There's no way you can drive around Ward 7 and see all the people standing outside. People not from Ward 7 are doing construction on Pennsylvania Avenue and a number of other places that don't look like they come from our ward and say there's been enough done. So there's no way. But here's what I didn't hear already. There's a technical way to approach this. And as a founder of the largest workforce development council in the district, we've already gotten several hundred people from east of the river trained and in employment. We need a council member who will move us forward from this dismal present. And we need someone who understands the technical application of how you get it done. Have partnerships with Department of Homeland Security, General Dynamics, Siemens Corporation, Marriott Corporations. They're already members of the Workforce Council I co-founded with Marion Barry. The work is already happening. I want to use our seat for Ward 7 to get as many of our Ward 7 residents that want a job, employed, trained, and ready to compete and maintain their employment. You gotta have technical, forget all this rhetoric and vision. If you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to do it. Let's get it done, Ward 7.
I know that large council candidates did get the opportunity to walk around and speak, and I think we should be equal on both sides.
Ms. Douglas, I'm sorry. Let me just make clear for everyone that we have very limited time. This is a larger panel, so please keep your answers concise. Thank you.
Let me know to be equal on both sides, and that's what the problem is. We're not being equal on both sides, and that's dealing with the city council and all. So my concern is that the First Source Agreement is already broken. When the companies come into Ward 7, they bring their own. What the problem is that when they sign the First Source Agreement, when they bring their own employment and persons in, and they can hire Ward 7 residents, but it's not a commitment or agreement saying how many they can hire. City Council have that opportunity to say, well, you can hire 100. But they come and say, well, I'm only hiring 5. Just go around and you can go to, like H.D. Woodson. When you went to H.D. Woodson, you can see how many people did you see hired from H.D. Woodson. You might say 4 or 5, maybe 3 at the most. The point is the City Council had that opportunity with that First Source Agreement to make sure that our residents of Ward 7 and even around the city be employed. They need to be made accountable for what they're doing to our residents. These are our tax dollars. Now the companies are getting big money and big dollars. So we as residents need to stand up and say enough is enough. Thank you.
We will now have our next question from Debbie Simmons.
Good afternoon. I want to get a little bit into your strategy, because if there's one thing you all have in common is that you're black and you're Democrats. So let's get away from that for a minute. There are a lot, just like other wards in the city, a lot of independents and statehood Green Party members and Republicans you have to deal with. In Ward 7, the 3 largest precincts with the largest numbers of independents are near Plummer on Texas Avenue, Davis Elementary, and St. Timothy's off Alabama Avenue. What political strategy will you use, or message, will you use to separate yourself, whether it's from the incumbent or in any other manner from each other, in order to get that vote? Because you need that vote. There are more independents around the city. I mean, the independent demographic is growing and growing and growing, so you'll have to embrace that whether you want to or not.
We'll begin with Ms. Douglas.
Well, it's already being embraced. You have to have community engagement. We need to be involved. We need to have a voice and stand up to support what the residents want. I'm here to serve. And the problem is that we allow our own city councils not being accountable and not giving us the things that we need to be successful. You know, in small business, anything we try to do in a lifestyle, we have to do it ourselves, as the city council said at large earlier. When you communicate